Hi, it's Rupert Hine here from Action Coach Nick and Ross, and I'm joined today by Moreland McDiarmid from Capital Cleaning Services. Welcome, Moreland.
Good morning. It's actually Capital Service Solutions Group, but I'll forgive you for that.
No, fantastic, thank you. So you you've been with the group, you've owned the group, you've run the group for what, 10 years now?
Yeah, there's quite a connection with it. So it was initially, as you said, Cleaning, and that was established in 1978. But I sold my business to Capital Cleaning away back in 92. And do you know, when you buy or sell a business, you can either, it's like the same as buying and selling a house, you can either remain friends or you part company very quickly. We remained very good friends and kept in contact. When I came back to the UK in 2012-13, I was approached by them, the two directors who were looking to retire, and they were asking me to do some due diligence in the business to see if I can make it market ready for putting it up for sale. After spending a couple of days with them, I basically said, I'd like to put my hat in the ring. If I can go back to the bank and ask for a wee bank loan, could I come back to you? And they actually said, hey, that's what they wanted. So they said, no, we'll take it off the market. We know that we can do business with you. And it's more, I would say, our business ethics, our moral compass, all that were are very much aligned, and so we basically did a very quick deal, and I bought the business at the start of 2015, end of 2014, 2015. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, what or who are Capital Service Solutions?
Capital Service Solutions, it basically it is looking at our clients to stick to what they do best, which is either making things, doing other stuff, and for us to take away the pain of some of these other facility service solutions, cleaning, waste management, pest solutions, hygiene, janitorial, all sorts of different things. We're now into painting, decorating, all the rest of it. Some clients will come to us and say, we're looking at this one service, and that's what's on offer to you. What we hope to do is build a relationship where, and if it stays as one service entity, that's great, no problem. We believe that every business transaction should stand in its own entity, its own stable resource. But if that trust and reliance is built up and they can tell that we're doing a good job with that, it would make perfect sense to start looking at some of these other services and have the trust that the same competency would be delivered in delivering them. So we're looking to be a trusted confidant for a facilities manager. Pick up the phone, ask for the job to be done, put the phone down, get on with what they need to do, and know that we are then working away to deliver what they're expecting and above.
So so that's really interesting. I mean, you've talked about the strong moral compass that attracted you back to the
Hmm.
business. You've talked there about building a really deep, trusted relationship with your clients. How do you set about building that trust?
Um, Trust comes from a different. I think through working in the industry, facilities industry for 30 plus years, um, and working for some um, major players in the industry, I recognized that one thing that was absolutely lacking is an open book policy. So if you say that this is your cost metrics for developing a service solution, um, the reality, of saying, oh, we're only making 4%, and that the reality is there's a different set of audited books. we basically were very much along the lines of um, that we need to be honest and transparent with everything that we're doing. So making money and delivering a service is not uh it's not a shameful thing, but being honest
Yeah.
with how we're delivering that. So it's that type of thing. So right from the first engagement, um, to looking at that package, and then we say, listen, we are externally audited. We're ISO 9001, 14001. We have external auditors who come in and check out what we're saying. We also say to our clients, audit us as well, check out our accounts. Um, so having that, and do you know what? I think you have to have a very good memory. If you're not doing things 100% and it's that open and transparent, you have to have a very good memory. I've not got a great memory, so I find it a lot easier just saying, "Hey, here's where our figures are," and that. So that really means you need to have individuals who are looking for that same type of relationship, because some people are looking for, no, we're looking for the cheapest quote, we're looking for, a different set of solutions, and that's fine. But so we're trying to align, and that's one of the kind of major changes that we've been developing over the last two plus years, is to really not just look to grow, but get the right set of clients that we can service and that we can say that we're on the same journey with them, have the right set of individuals who have got the expertise from the capital side to and working on the same ethos. So there's no point as the owner saying, this is open book policy, but the person who's actually delivering the contract for me
Yeah.
has a different set of principles. So it's
Yeah.
aligning yourself with those who are delivering it with these principles, and
Yeah.
also the same with the clients.
So how have you gone about getting the whole of your team, all your teams, bought into that set of ideals?
Um, well, it's like anything. I think it's when you even look at companies who have developed their core principles, ethos, and all the rest of it. You have to live and breathe it over a period of time. So you have an objective, clear objective of what you're wanting to achieve out the business, where it's going, and you need to demonstrate that. So trust when people are talking to you, um, confidentiality is kept, all different things. Do you know? So it's through time that it's built up anyway, for definite.
So you came back into the business, or into the business, back into the business. You
Hmm.
you you you'd had part of the business before. Um, what as well as building that trust up, what else have you done to grow the business to the point that you've got it to today?
I think one of the things that I recognized is, in a service industry, um, you're only as good as the last day that you do, and you're only as good as the individuals who are actually delivering that service there and then. So I can turn up and have a suit on, look presentable, all the rest of it. If the individuals who are actually delivering the service don't have that same attitude, and all the rest of it, then the service won't be delivered. So I need to look at, well, what is going to motivate these individuals who are actually delivering it? And in this industry, it is three things that are directed. Is, people are not getting in a winter day, they're not getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning or going out at 6 o'clock at night to do 3, 4 hours if it's cleaning work, for instance, because they love cleaning. They're doing it because that financially is a solution to what is going to help them, whether it's a second job or whether it's two or three jobs. So making sure that the individual who's delivering that service is getting paid what they deserve. So one of the things that we did is we looked at the real living wage. We engaged with them and we asked, what do we need to do to change? Now, we were quoting on public procurement contracts, which, 70% of it was based on your cost. Well, if you've 30 companies who are quoting at that, and 80% of your delivery of that model is tied up with wages, then that's where you're squeezing all the profit out of. So we needed to look at how do we make sure that we're basically giving our the staff on the front line a reasonable wage for what they're coming out to do. And so we implemented that. We really took on board their advice, and that gave me a couple of I, we actually lost a lot of customers because and that's when you realize your alignment is not the same. So
Mhm.
we would go back and say, hey, listen, by the way, this is what we want to do because we feel that the person who's actually delivering it, the frontline, need to be paid well. This is the cost impact. This is where we are just now. Here is the cost impact. Will you help us on this journey? And so the increase in the value of the contract, this is what we've swallowed, but here is where the impact with yourself. And some came back to us and went, that's fine. That's not the path we're on. We're looking for this as a service, and you're then making yourself not in the same field. And that was fine. So there was, and at first I became quite frightened of that. I thought, I'm basically chipping away at the business here, and we were having major customers moving away. And then I thought, no, stick to your guns. We're just needing to realign ourselves with individuals who have the same viewpoint and
Yeah.
principles. Um, so paying people what they deserve. So we are now the first in Scotland, as an SME business to be headquartered in Scotland as a real living wage. So the Real Living Wage Foundation came back to us and went, do you realise that you're the first ones to have headquarters in Scotland to be accredited the real living wage? That was fantastic. So Real Living Wage Week there a couple of weeks ago, they asked me to get involved in discussions and various things, and that was fantastic. And it's nice when you're doing something right, but you then get plaudits for it and you don't realize it's not for
Absolutely.
it's not for that reason. But that was good. The other thing was making sure that people have got the right tools and equipment, the right support mechanism
Mm.
as well. So we were very much looked at that. So there was, and COVID was a time period where everyone, I think, as businesses were closing down. Our business, part of it closed down because of our clients, closed the premises. Other parts of the business, we were being asked to be like frontline workers,
Yeah.
and that time period made me change as well. My attitude is saying, value the people who are delivering the service, value the product, and that's when I always kind of thought, oh, it's a service. We're delivering a product. The product is not just the clean building, or the joinery work or the painting, the office. It's not just that. It's the whole mechanism around that. It's the engagement with the client. It's the checking if the expectations have been delivered at the end as well.
I mean, it's an awesome achievement to have put all of that in place. You mentioned there that when you first started down that line, and particularly with the living wage, and you're realigning yourself with your customers, that that lost you a number of people who weren't aligned. How how did you maintain your resilience? Because that must have been a pretty stressful situation to allow
It
you to hold to your principles.
it was it was stressful, and I think the last couple of years, like many businesses, and one of the reasons that we've expanded into other services is due to the fact, the cleaning industry in its whole, it's still in some ways a race to the bottom. So we need to say, well, we need to look at other professional services and offer as a package. Um, there's a stressful time, but if you realize that you're doing something the right way, I've went
Yeah.
through from, I I had an illness that affected me last year. I've lost 4.5 stone. And but one of the things that I'm doing is I was told I need to exercise in a very um eh, yeah. So I'm doing a lot of exercise daily. That's painful, and it's painful for me. I was on the bike this morning. I was doing 30K. It's
Ah,
very painful, but I know what I can get at the end of it. So, and if, sorry, my analogies are quite poor at times, but it's just that same thing. It's sometimes you have to, when you recognize it, we are going through a wee pain barrier here, but we know the path and we know where we want to go. Um, and other things in life get perspective in mind. You know, things happened
yeah,
in your life that you realize what is the most important. So, you know, is it a case of do you want to be a multimillionaire delivering XYZ, having a name with this, or would you like to have my goal is I want to have a sustainable business that has got a reputation that people would actually buy your service due to the fact, like if if I was into hamburgers and I want to go into McDonald's and I go into France or I go into another country or I go somewhere else, I know the reputation, so I go in and I know what I'm going to expect. And so it was kind of that little bit of the analogy of saying, well, I just want to make sure that we're delivering that expectation. And so yeah, I think keeping that in our mind, straight in our
yeah,
mind, and surrounding myself with individuals who are likewise. So my head of finance, same principles, and I've always said to him, don't tell, if things are going bad, tell us where it is. Don't hide things. We have that honest
yeah,
discussion from an operations point of view, from so all the individuals surrounding us, we're educating and we're learning and bouncing off each other, but it's the same way that we're going, and that helps
yeah,
us.
yeah. It's interesting. If you come across Viktor Frankl,
No.
man's, so he's an author, was an author. He was a psychologist back in the 1930s in Austria. And he was incarcerated in 4 concentration camps during the
Oh.
Second World War and survived. And he wrote a book whilst he was in there. He wrote it in his head because he couldn't write it down because he'd have been punished for it. Man's Search for Meaning. And it's all about the things that help people through severe stress. Um, and he noticed that the people about him, some people just survived. There would be times of choosing, and obviously some of the choices being made in concentration camps by the captors weren't good. But some people just seemed to always go the right way, and he
Hmm.
boiled it down to they were the people who had a purpose. They had something driving them to live for. In his case, it was telling the story afterwards. And so he started coaching his fellow inmates to discover their purpose. And the more they discovered it, the more they survived.
Wow.
And it's maybe not the happiest topic, but it's a really powerful lesson. It's really just what you've just described
Yeah.
there in terms of having that underlying um,
No, no,
reason
no,
for being that drives you.
no, it's funny actually because my father, he wasn't in a concentration camp, but he was a prisoner of war all the way through the Second World War. In fact, he was in Stalag Luth 3, where they dug the tunnel. And he was one of the prisoners. He was a private. He went in as a corporal and came out as a private. For yeah. Anyway, I think he hit someone in command, and he says he never regretted it. But I think that same. I know the tenacity that my father had, and then he came out of the war and was a railway driver for 40 odd years. Yeah, that really influenced me. But you're totally right. It's the way that you look on things. Sometimes we're all treading through the same muck and stour, but it's your outlook.
Yeah,
Always, and it's also your impact as well. And your place. I always remember that. that famous quote is that one of the US presidents went to NASA and said, to everybody in the line and got down to the janitor and, hi, who are you and what do you do? And the janitor turned around and said, I helped to put a man in the moon.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's recognizing. So it's one of the things that we're trying to do with some of the services that we deliver, is we say we want to be discreet. We want this service not to have an impact on what you're doing, because what you're doing is of value, and we know
yeah.
your end goal, but you recognize that the service you're doing has a role to play.
Yeah, you're an enabler in
Hmm.
you're the foundations that help them build whatever it is they're delivering.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really, really cool. So where are you going next? What's the next bit of the journey?
Well, I tell you, even changing our business name to Capital Service Solutions Group, the whole reason for that was to keep the integrity of what we've developed over the 45 years, but was really to look at being a service um, solutions company um, into the next 45 years. We've I'm trying to think. It's been an interesting few months. It's been very good. We have got a great plan. Business Gateway in West Lothian has been fantastic with us. We pitched our plan to them and our business proposal for the next 3 years, and they said we'll buy into that. That's great. So they have given us some extra funding, which we are waiting on. I think they're doing a test case with us as well on that. But we expect to grow substantially in the next 3 years. We do cover the UK. I was down in Brighton. We have a couple of national contracts. So we're just looking to build. The biggest thing is establish the foundations. Make sure you don't have that leaky bucket. And if you establish the foundations, you know, I
Yeah,
feel like I'm getting into the Kevin Costner moment here. Build build a field and they will come. Um, yeah, but I just for me, it's I think we've got great opportunities. We are now getting individuals who are coming to us from former clients saying, we've got one massive pharmaceutical company that we service, and an individual just moved from there, went to another company and went, we need you here.
yeah,
So we're starting to see that develop. We've had that we do a five-star hotel group who have just come back to us and said, we now want you to, you look after 3 hotels
mm,
for us. We now want you into other places. We're starting to see the fruit of or that delivery. Um, um, Getting tongue-tied here with words, but yeah, the hard footage of our work on the last
yeah.
couple of years is starting to come to fruition. There you go.
Fantastic. So, final question from me. What if you were to turn the clock back, what's the one piece of advice that you'd give your 18-year-old self starting out on his journey?
Smile more. Just be happy. I think sometimes you can have an expectation of the journey that you want to go. Um, Life can throw massive curveballs to you. You try to interpret everything. We might lose a client tomorrow, and we sit there and the only thing that I'm concerned is I go, have we done that? Have we done these 3, 4, 5? We've done that, right? Don't worry about it. Something changed that had nothing to do with us. We delivered what we need to do. So I think recognizing that there is a ever-changing paths and changing moments. Just enjoy the life that you have, and try to set the riding. Like, to me, I try to view my company the same as my family, and I try to steer. So if I'm saying this is how, as a family, we want to grow, and you look at your kids and how you want to educate and train them, and the values that you put in that, and that can be different for everyone. Um, but I try to look at my business like as a family as well, that we just view that it's the important things is respect for each other, treating people, as you would want yourself, and smiling more at the good things that are happening in life. I've met you today. Great.
Absolutely. That's absolutely awesome. And yeah, what a story. There's some phenomenal lessons in there for everyone. So thank you very much for investing the time in this morning.
No problem. Thank you. And you have a lovely one up there in Perth. Enjoy.
Brilliant. Thank
See you
you
later.
very much.
Bye bye. Bye bye.